And hey there, hi there, ho there, and a gracious good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we bring you the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics. Man, what an exciting week we have had these past several days here. The Cards having a big Friday, taking both their events in, and also let's go back to Wednesday night on a packed LNFCU arena. Got to see Louisville take down our rival Kentucky in volleyball. We'll get into all that and more later in the show today. But first of all, let's start out with our introductions. We have four on board today for the broadcast. So we bring in Daryl and send Case to a wedding. How about that? Yeah. We said, Case, we don't need you Saturday. Go watch somebody get married. No, he had a morning wedding that he had to attend. But Daryl, able to overcome the odds after a busy day in ACC Control Center, managed to get up, struggle, and make some coffee, and joins us this morning. Good morning, Daryl. Did you have any trouble like figuring out how to get back onto the podcast or anything?
I did. I had to go search way back in my email to get this link. But
At least you're not joining us by phone, So that's.
Yes,
but always good to have you on board. It was a busy day for you yesterday, eh?
Yeah, but totally worth it.
It was indeed. It's certainly a fun way to spend the evening. We don't normally cover football here, but we will mention that the Cards did win against UCF Golden Knights, not Knights. Don't call them Knights. They're Golden Knights. If you call them Knights, they'll get mad. 42-35, last second interception for the touchdown. Way to go, football. If anything is going to save Scott Satterfield's job, that just might have been it there.
Yeah. Winning covers a multitude of sins, right?
Yes, it does indeed. If you got a W next to a game, that buys you at least another week, right? So congratulations to them, but certainly a lot of other things happened on Friday as well, and we got a lot of good stuff to talk about. Jared Anderson's in the house with us. He's been attending a lot of events on campus. He actually made it down to field hockey yesterday. What did you see the first half, Jared?
I left. I left me late third quarter from field hockey and took the. Actually, I found one of those little scooters on campus, so it saved me a walk down to Cardinal Stadium. But I was there for the goal, and I was there for much of the match. Good game.
Yeah, it was indeed. I got to watch the first half as well before I had to head down to Floyd Street. But certainly a good win for the Cards as they keep the streak at home alive. And with a big one coming up, we'll cover in just a little bit later on in the show today against Iowa tomorrow. So you got to beat those Hawkeyes, right? You got to take them down. Jeff McAdams in the house with us. Jeff is, I guess, the chief engineer today, I guess we could say, huh?
Well, I mean, yeah, sort of. I mean, I'm kind of
certainly ain't me.
It's kind of filling the same role I normally do, but I'm also going to take my recording of this and send it over to Case to do the edits for the podcast. He usually records it himself, but I can record it as well and send them the files that he can then edit. So, yeah.
If you have any trouble, if there are any buttons to be involved, I got a girl for you.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I only know certain buttons.
You don't have the Diet Coke button yet, but still, you got a lot of buttons to take care of up there.
The button I was thinking about last night was the firework button. How do I get that?
Yeah, that would be a nice button for you to have, but then again, it'd be like, would you be taking somebody's job away? That's probably just designated to one specific person once a game, right?
Yeah, why not me?
There you are.
That and the train horn.
Yeah, that and the train horn, and yeah, you could. How would you describe your title then, though? That would be interesting. Director of Crowd Noise and Enhancements, Daryl Faust.
The happiness button.
I like it. Would that be a part of the athletic department, though, or would that maybe go
marketing? Yeah,
marketing, athletics. Yeah, that would work for you. That'd be fun. So, if you'd like to see Daryl in her new job, send a letter to Vince Tyree at UofL. No, just kidding. Let's go ahead and get her up there. We need somebody with some stats. There we go. As for me, a busy week. Followed a lot of things online. Louisville women's athletics. Uh, what button was that, Daryl?
So sorry, wrong button.
No problem. You had a busy button pushing night last night, so I understand.
That was the Justin Bieber button.
We're going to do a little beef later on? All right, here we go. Yeah. Not only sports and information, but also faded stars from the early 21st century. Okay.
I'll put my mute on when I'm not talking.
Yeah, when you get to Metallica, go ahead and turn that up. We'll listen to a little of that. That would be fun. But no, a busy week for me, just following stuff, doing some writing and stuff. Got into a battle with the Jefferson County Board of Education over my wife's work status, but that's not what we're covering here today. We're covering the joy and excitement of UofL women's sports. And to kind of kick us off on that, Case not here. We could not convince him to call in from the wedding to do scheduling and Twitter. So we have to run a reverse. We hand it to Jared Anderson. He's done it before. Don't worry. We got a capable quarterback with the ball right now. So, Jared, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. With scheduling Twitter, I think it's going to be easier to hit Twitter real quick. Case, who's not here, does tweet out his best case scenario. That's BST, no E in the word best. Not a lot of tweets coming from him, especially with the wedding going on. Daryl, who's back with us again after what feels like a while, does tweet out as Daryl Faust 4. And other than pushing buttons, I think she was pretty active and celebrating on Twitter last night, if I recall.
And this morning.
Jeff Scott. And this morning. Well, the game didn't end until almost midnight. So
Yeah.
I've rewatched the replays like 10 times this morning. I'm still just so amped up.
That run back was
hey,
special.
I'm right there with you, Daryl, on that one. Still feeling amped up. Jeff's got a couple different Twitter accounts. His personal one is at Jeff McAdams. And then for the UofL sports related stuff, he does tweet out as Card Couple Radio. I think I've seen a few volleyball tweets here and there. I know he typically doesn't tweet during the match when he's present.
Yeah,
which
I didn't get any out Wednesday night because it was a little busy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they showed
I
you
don't blame
running
you
down
there
the
with
steps once, too. Yeah. They did show you running down the steps once.
Yeah, well, I think I was actually going back up after finishing.
Or maybe, and then they cut away. They cut away from you, like, we don't want that guy on there.
Yeah. Saw my backside.
It's on there leading those Cards cheers, which is good. The crowd was very interactive with you too on the Cards cheers Wednesday.
The crowd was just loud in general, which is fantastic. It was a great environment.
Always so great to have that.
Oh yes. Paulie does tweet out as Cardinal Couple. I don't recall if you were on Twitter much or not last night. I figure once you got home, you and Sonia probably went right on
We
the
went
bed.
right to bed. And there is a reason I wasn't tweeting from the football game. It's because I left my phone in the car.
Oh, I thought it was because there was no signal.
I was going to say, a lot of people saying they're having trouble getting signal out there.
So. No, I'm just like, I'm bringing the stuff out of my pockets so I can go through security at the gate. And I look at Sonia and say, "If you got my phone?" She's like, "What'd you do with it?" I'm like, "Well, I went to the car and I set it down in the seat." Didn't make it inside the stadium with the phone. But anyway, I did find it after the game, sitting in the passenger side seat waiting for me patiently with like 20 tweets.
At least it was still there.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like I don't know how many text messages I had. And so I'm like, do I want to catch up on these? Nah, I'll do them Saturday.
Protect your mental health.
Exactly. I was in a good mood. I walked there. Everything was fun. Yeah.
And then myself, tweet out as Mr. Anderson Jared. I got some football photos up early this morning, as well as some field hockey photos up there early this morning. And then I've tried to avoid it since because a couple of those football pictures have blown up and just the notifications. It's like, we're going to take a few hours off from Twitter as those notifications keep blowing up.
Let it
but
breathe.
Moving on over, just everybody's still hyped up from several big wins that we'll cover. Lots of close ones, ranging from volleyball, field hockey, even soccer, women's soccer, football. All of them have had some really close wins, so we'll hit a lot of those later on. But moving on to scheduling, it looks like we're going to start the day, which has already started for men's tennis with the Coach Dale Short Shootout, which is down in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and that's going to be an all-day event for them. There's a big one for volleyball tonight. Instead of their typical Friday, Sunday fashion, they're up at Nebraska. So it's their third top 6 opponent in the last 4 matches. This is a big one. I'm not sure if I see a TV channel for this. Jeff, I'm going to call you in for help if you know where to find this match.
For volleyball, it's on the Big Ten Network.
Big Ten Network. All right. So if you've got access to Big Ten Network, this is one you definitely want to check out.
And this is on the main
number 5 Louisville.
Yeah, this is on the main Big Ten Network, the linear one. So if you've got probably a sports pack on your TV service, then it's probably there.
Sweet.
And this one is slated for 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're tuning in at 8 p.m. Nebraska time, you're going to probably miss most of it. So 8 p.m. our time here. Moving on to Sunday, men's tennis continues their events. Softball's going to kick up their fall schedule. They're going to head down I-64 at noon and take on the rivals in blue. This is just a fall scrimmage. It won't count for anything once we get over to spring season. Just kind of see how players are looking and some of what the new faces. But on campus, heading back to Floyd Street, there's another big game. Number 5 field hockey is playing host to number 2 Iowa. Iowa has continued to move up in the rankings, highlighted with the win against North Carolina earlier this year. This is another one that if you can tune in, you're definitely going to watch it. And I believe we said that this one is on ACC Network, so it should be a little more accessible than some others. Nothing happening Monday. Tuesday, men's soccer will host an in-state opponent, Northern Kentucky, on campus at 7:30. ACC Network Extra, you check it out. Nothing happening Wednesday. Moving on to Thursday, men's tennis heads down to Knoxville, Tennessee for the Ohio Valley Regional Championships. Big game for women's soccer that night. They head up to Syracuse. This one's got a little bit earlier start time. It's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern time, so you may just be getting home from work. So make sure you can check that one out. I don't see online or TV listed, but I'd have to assume this may be ACC Network Extra with 2 ACC opponents playing. Looking at next Friday, the 24th, men's tennis continues. Women's tennis will open up their season. They're going to head up to the Purdue Invitational at West Lafayette, Indiana. It's slated for an all-day affair. Women's golf will also open up their season. The Mason Rudolph Invitational, which is down in Nashville, Tennessee, is also slated for all day. Men's golf heads out to New Mexico for an all-day affair. Field hockey will continue their ACC stint as they head down to Durham, North Carolina at Duke. That's a 6 p.m. start time for field hockey. A couple events on campus. Volleyball is hosting Miami, the Hurricanes in Miami, not Miami, Ohio. That one's at 7 p.m. There should still be some tickets available for that one at LNN Federal Credit Union. I would definitely go check out this volleyball team. They're incredible to watch. And also, if you're a men's soccer fan, yes, and they're going to keep on climbing in the rankings, I believe. And then over at Lynn Stadium, men's soccer will host Boston College for another ACC game at 7:30. Kind of gets us ahead to next Saturday, which it looks like women's tennis will have already started by the time we're on air, and women's golf will have started by the time we're on air, and rowing will also be up in Indiana, Bloomington, Indiana, for regatta there, and those usually start early in the morning, so that will also be on before we're on air, so make sure you check those out if you can. And there's a mouthful. We're there to the end of scheduling.
One of the busier scheduling and Twitters we've had in recent broadcasts, so we're going to have to maybe reevaluate Jared's position with the organization here and put him there permanently full time.
It just seems long because they're playing so many ranked opponents. So you had to put in that, the ranking in there, and it just made it longer.
And we're getting so much television coverage. You're talking about all the.
It's a good problem, guys.
Yeah.
We love the problem. Yes, we do. It is fun indeed. Certainly no problem, but certainly very exciting. Let's go back to Wednesday night to the LNN Federal Credit Union, where number 5 Louisville Volleyball brought in rival from down I-64 East Kentucky, who was ranked 8th at the time. They took on the Cats in volleyball and won in 5 sets, 17-25, 25-20, 25-22, 20-25, and then finally 15-9. A 5-set thriller that Jeff McAdams was at. Daryl was pushing buttons for, and Jared was taking photos in there. I was watching on, of course, the ESPN Plus feed on it, where Katie George was on. Always good to hear her talk about volleyball, right? But yeah, Jeff, the arch rival came in. The arch rival was sent home with an L. You got to love that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This is a team kind of like Purdue that has really kind of had Louisville's number for a number of years. I think the win-loss percentage has been slanted away from us with both of these series more than the quality of the teams really, I think, typically justifies. And Kentucky was a really, really, really great team last year. Obviously, won national championship, but and they've lost some of that this year. But they're still a very good team. They've got a lot of potential weapons. I think they still have some work to do to kind of put it together into a coherent whole. But they've got a lot of talent on the team. It was a great match between two really, really good teams that matched up really well. It was a lot of fun to watch. It was great volleyball.
It was indeed. And Daryl, this one started at anything but great for the Cards, though. Maybe a little bit of nerves, some attack errors, some service errors and such. But UK kind of jumped out, had a 16-8 lead on us, and won that first set, 25-15. That was frustrating for me. I'm sure it was for you as well.
Oh yeah, this is a game that fans have had circled on their calendars for a really long time. I mean, when you get a rivalry like that, and then they also win the title last year, I'm sure so many players on UofL's team just put a fire under them that Kentucky could win the title and bring that trophy back to the Commonwealth. And the Cards are just like, hey, we could do that too. So they welcome the Cats to campus, and nerves. So many people in that arena. I know you mentioned it, Paul, how hot it is in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm sure it was a little. You wore your mask the whole time.
Yeah,
it looked like everybody was masked the entire time. So
yeah,
really hot environment. Exciting. So the nerves for the Cards, I'm sure, got to him in that first set because the errors and the Cats being able to get to a 6 or 7 point lead over the Cards in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Never really able to overcome it until they tied it up in the second set and able to be like, hey, we got this. We're not an underdog here. We have our fans behind us. We've got a great team with a lot of talent. So it was really fun to watch, especially when they got that second set as well. And then able to push it to 5 sets. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. I think the commentators said the Cards have only had one match all year where it went to 5 sets.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Arizona State. That's
mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah. And so that stat made me a little nervous, just endurance wise and stamina. Like, Kentucky put up a fight the entire time. I don't think the Cards had a significant lead over them until that last set. The few things stand out to me was the 8-0 run at the end and Tori Dilfer serving. She was so clutch serving because I felt like, Aiko had a few miscommunications and just, gave up easy points. And, those are frustrating. The Cards had to work so hard for certain points, the really long volleys. And then Kentucky would come back and just get that point back so easily on an error by the Cards. So Tori being able to step in there at the end and serve up some gems really stood out to me.
She had an incredible run, Jared. And let's go to this 5th set. It's a close game. Everybody's on the edge of their seats. Everybody's ready to go. And then we get a ping pong 5th set, back and forth. It's 6-6, and then unfortunately a couple of attack errors by the Cards give UK the 2-point edge. They trade a couple points. Kentucky's got a 9-7 lead. It maybe looks a little bit like this one could be slipping away from the Cards, but nah, the A team showed up, didn't they?
Yeah, when you're looking at a close match like this that's just been close all the sets and you're wire to wire in the fifth set, as soon as someone pulls ahead with a 2 point advantage, it's typically you're kind of seeing this is going to be over. It's hard to come back, especially with the shortened set. It was a great timeout by Coach DBK there to let the team kind of settle, refocus there. Tori came up, just kind of excellent job serving. Part of it was just kind of knocking them out of system with some of the serves. A couple of attack errors there. I think we're actually blocks by Amaya Tillman, who just had an excellent night up at the net.
Mhm.
Great kill by Claire Chaussee, and then going on that run, you put the pressure on Kentucky, and you could see it there in the final point that it just kind of got the Cats, and they hit it right into the net for the Louisville win. So it showed a lot of maturity and just being able to regroup and focus and turn things around right there to get the win.
And Jeff, Jared mentioned Amaya Tillman, 9 blocks on the evening. We could call her the queen of the block, huh?
Yeah, 2 solo blocks, 7 that she shared. She had, this is this is what she does. She is a blocking force. She and Aiko tend to get together a lot on that right side, left side hitting for the other team. The Aiko had 4 shares and a solo on her own. Those two together are an amazing blocking pair. On the other side of the court, she's blocking with either Anna DeBeer or Claire Chaussee, typically. And again, they do well, but the strength in the blocking is on the right side with Aiko, I think, more. But yeah, Amaya is she's always there. She's got a great eye for the ball, great understanding of, when the setter is going to try to dump. I've seen her, take out a bunch of setter dumps, which is it's hard to do, man. You got to anticipate it and plan for it and time it correctly. Yeah, that's amazing. Gotta call out. We talk about the A team a lot. Of course, Amaya had 9 kills. Anna DeBeer had 14. Anna Stevenson had 12, but the kill leader in the match was Claire Chaussee. Her senior year came out with 18. Kind of said, "Hey, I'm going to prove that this has been a position battle for a while. I've been going back and forth with Claire and Nina and Bonnet." She kind of came out and said, "Hey, I'm going to make a case for me having this position pretty permanently." So I think she made a good case for it too.
She sure did. That fifth set that she had was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
She did a wonderful job in that. And I always like to kind of look around and get the other team's viewpoint on things every once in a while on matches and games and such. And so I did read a quote from Craig Skinner, who, of course, is the head coach of the University of Kentucky volleyball team. His dad was Leonard Skinner. A lot of people might remember him from the 70s. And
Oh my God.
Just kidding, folks.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what?
Leonard Skinner was not. It's okay. I'm sorry. I just stepped out of the box there and fell off the edge. But no.
Well, they did. So Kentucky in the past has had Avery Skinner as a player on the team, and now Maddie Skinner. And Avery and Maddie are sisters. And when I first heard Avery Skinner's name, I said, any relation to Craig? And then I saw a picture of him. Nope.
Yeah. Doesn't appear to be, unless something happened drastically in the gene pool.
Okay.
But they asked him about the match, and he was like, said, "Hey, we learned a whole lot in this match. We learned that we're going to be a very, very good team down the road, and all we've got to do is figure out how to win fifth sets on the road."
Yeah.
And that was his statement,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, he was factual on that. The old opportunity at a defeat spiel that he took here, I guess was right. I mean, he could have been a Debbie Downer guy like, we played horrible. I'm going to make them run the minute we get back on campus.
That's not his style.
I'm going to lower the net 2 inches and see if we might do a little better. No, he's not that way. But,
No.
and of course, Danny, who it's sometimes very hard to get post-game stuff out of, God love her, and she's like, well, our opinion of it was like, is it finally about time we beat them once? It's been a while, but I was very proud of our team. But I think the most thing I'm proud of is we finally got a W next to our name in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, very factual. very good.
Yeah, it's definitely was. I think it was very much a mental thing, and the team finally said, "Okay, we're going to make this happen." You know, we have a very fine team this year. We're a senior laden. We've got a lot of leadership. We came into this year and basically were able to almost have our complete lineup back from last year. So you're starting from a position, 2 weeks of practice worth ahead of where you were the previous from other teams, perhaps. Kentucky has a great team. Their path doesn't get any easier. They play Stanford today. Yeah,
Nice.
right. And Stanford, I think, is ranked 16th right now. Probably will go up after they beat Nebraska over in the week. So yeah, it's and apparently this whole Stanford, Nebraska, UofL, UK is a bit of an overall series. That's all together apparently. Yeah. So UofL will play UK every year. Stanford play Nebraska every year, and then we'll play one of the other, every year for a while. So it'll be interesting. That's what I understand.
Always good to see the best compete. They're on 9-0 now on the season.
Yeah.
And Danny had the blazer on for the win.
It wasn't the sparkly one though.
But it was a red one.
It was a red one.
I was thinking about Coach Danny, this puts another notch in her belt. She hasn't been able to beat the rival yet, and it probably just inspires her and the team. I mean, it's probably been on their list for a while. And yeah, it's another notch in her belt, and now she's going to play her alma mater. And I don't know, has she beaten her alma mater yet?
She's never played them. In fact,
John Cook has
apparently almost never played any of his former assistant coaches. So
maybe there's a reason why.
This is kind of a big deal. This is getting a lot of attention in Nebraska as well, in Lincoln as well. It's not
now's a good time.
Yeah.
What a week for her that would be. That would break out the sparkly blazer.
For sure.
Next week.
It is. It's number 5 versus number 6 tonight at 8 o'clock. Daryl, though, obviously Nebraska is worldwide known for their volleyball skills, the things they can do, the way they can play. Second straight top 10 matchup for Louisville, obviously. As Jared mentioned earlier, our third in the last 4 matches here. This is a big time one, big one on the. And also, I think we said it was on the Big Ten Network. Mm-hmm. So that should be fun to watch. Daryl, your thoughts on this? How does Louisville have such an emotional win on Wednesday, then go on the road and go out to Nebraska and get another one here?
You just ride that high. I think that I heard Coach Busman Kelly say something earlier, maybe this week or something, just about how UofL hasn't had the opportunity to play these really good teams and get them into the postseason, but they have been doing that in the last year or so. And it's just, I'm glad to see these teams on our schedule. It's exciting. If we can get matches like we had on Wednesday with the victory tied to it for the Cards, the postseason is going to be really rewarding for us. I know that the team was really upset about losing to Northwestern the way they did. And, you get Claire and players to take that 5th year option after COVID, and they have revenge. They want to go out there and do what Kentucky did last year. And I'm all about it.
Absolutely. Let's bring it on. Let's tip it up. Let's play. Let's go.
It's interesting. A couple of quick notes on this. Kentucky's national championship win was not only the first national championship win in volleyball for Kentucky, it was the first for the SEC even.
Yeah.
Wow. And if we were able to pull this off this year and get the win, it would be, of course, our first national championship win and also the first for the ACC.
Wow. That would be some Disney movie.
Right?
Content.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you asked about how you come off an emotional win like this. One of the things that Coach Busman Kelly was speaking with her a couple of years ago, and I was asking about, lessons learned from a game or something like that. She said, we watch the result. We go back and replay every game once, always once, never more than once. But we learn our lessons. Then you tear off the rearview mirror and you go on to the next match. So that's that's an approach that they've instilled in the culture of this program. This is how they go forward with it, and I don't expect any change to that with this one. I know they had film session last night at the Busboom family homestead in Lincoln, by the way, which was certainly a nice opportunity for them. Yeah. So, they were watching Nebraska film there. I'm sure earlier in the week, maybe Thursday or yesterday, probably Thursday, they probably watched the Kentucky match again and picked it apart for lessons learned.
Certainly going to be a great one tonight. If you can catch this one, certainly do so. 8 p.m. The Huskers, the Cards. Should be fun. Let's go ahead and stay on Floyd Street, but fast forward to yesterday, where the day began with the Louisville field hockey squad. Yes, a very, very good field hockey squad that is fifth in the nation. They opened their ACC conference play, bringing in the Who's. That's right, West Virginia, or the Virginia Cavaliers. Jared Anderson was out there snapping some photos. I was trying to follow along on ACC Network Extra for a while, and then thought I had to leave to go to football. But certainly that had to be a fun one, Jared. We scored early, and that's all we needed, a 1-0 win for the Cards.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Indiana match in a way, just relying on that one goal, and then Virginia really kicked it up a notch and put some pressure on, and I thought UofL handled it really well, being able to really just adjust and adapt to anything that they threw at us. But overall, I mean, there's actually a really good crowd, and the team seemed hyped up. The really strong goal. It looks like the official goal is credited to Maddie. Originally during the announcement, they did give it to Charlie.
Yeah, that was what I tweeted out, that Charlie got the goal. And when they went back and showed the replay on it, I still thought Charlie had the goal. But then they ended up giving it to Maddie. So, I don't know, maybe they should have just put Maddie on the spotlight and shown what she did during the entire sequence. Maybe
we'll call in our button pushing expert.
That's right, Daryl. You
some
need
replays to help us out.
We want you on 23 the next time field hockey is on TV. The whole time. Don't show anything else. Just watch Maddie run up and down the field.
Listen, doing field hockey games is so stressful because it's like there is no, there's a pitch that you're waiting for. It's something is going to happen. It's like you have to be ready for the momentum for a goal to come. Does that make sense? Like you never know when something's going to happen. And, once they get in the box and closer to the goal, you hit the record button, because I'm in charge of hitting the replays at the stadium. So, Sunday's game against Liberty, I missed 2 goals because they happened so fast. And on Friday, I was like, I'm not missing it because I know this is going to be a close game. It's going to just be so tight. If we get 1 goal, hopefully it's ours, because I just didn't think there would be a lot of goals. And that one went in, and it bounced off the side part of the goal to go in. And I couldn't believe it. It was a great goal. Very hard. It was hard to get, a hard-earned goal. Still couldn't tell you who did it. But yeah,
that's the other challenge of field hockey, is you get down there and there's like a bajillion people within about 4 feet of the goal. You can't see
exactly anything. And I'm still learning this game. I'm not an expert, as you all know. I'm learning about the green, yellow, and red cards, or when possession switches. So it's a work in progress, but it helps to have a really good team who's undefeated.
It does indeed. That's always a plus. Maddie Tabor picked that up early in the second quarter. It stood throughout the entire second half. That puts the Cards at 7-0 now, and that is tying a school record, y'all, for the best start in program history. So
I do think we need to kick our offense up a notch. We've gone against some tougher opponents, tougher defenses, and part of it almost feels like it's not the best passing once we get across midfield. Just a little off the mark with some of them, and it's kind of limited how many shots on goal we've had. I believe yesterday we finished with 2, which isn't going to win you a lot of field hockey matches. Unfortunately, we did get really lucky with being able to get one of those 2 shots in, because Virginia it felt like they were kind of pounding all over the cage there in the first quarter, and then right out of halftime trying to get a goal in. I think they finished with about 5 or 6 on goal. So we've got to find some way, really get that offense pushing a little bit more, see if we can get some shots there at the keeper, and hopefully the keeper may have a little misstep and we'll get it in.
I want to piggyback off that, Jared. Just the defensive side of the ball. I know we said it's kind of hard to tell who is where once you get inside that box and stuff, but a huge shout out to number 17, India Reed. I'm ready to buy this girl's jersey. Her defense yesterday, she was in there every time helping out the goalie, keeping that ball out of the cage. So huge shout out to the Louisville native and redshirt sophomore, India Reed.
That's right. India was an essential role in that defense, and they've also got a nice little video they showed at halftime where India takes you on a tour of the weight facility, the Marshall Center over there where the team works out and does their exercise in. And also she took us on a tour of the inside of Traeger Stadium's locker rooms. Very nice to see. So great girl, great personality. Let's also give a shout out real quick as to Mila Kur. I know I mispronounced that.
I don't know how to pronounce it either.
Our freshman goalkeeper, which I just been calling MDK. It's a lot easier for me. Had 5 saves in this one. 4th shutout of the season. She did a great job. I also like to kind of watch and see if they're going to do something with Justine and Jared. And I usually handle these, or Jared usually handles these, but since neither one of us were there to handle the post-game interview with Justine, Lori jumped down there to get the words. 3 things I noticed: Justine was not smiling when the camera first came on. Normally she's grinning at Jared and just absolute delight, like, "Oh, Jared's going to interview me. How sweet is this? How nice." When she sees me, she goes, "There's that long-haired hippie with the beard going to interview me. This should be fun." But it was glorious. So Justine did not start at pleasant, saying there's definitely a lot to take away from this game. Often when you get a win, you may not look at the video, but we will absolutely need to look at this video and see what went wrong. That sounds like a loss to me already. She said, I thought there were way too many turnovers that were uncharacteristic, that opened up a lot of scenes of attack for Virginia to attack us. I'm disappointed the way that we played because we are so much better than that. And I'm thinking, if I didn't know the score on this one, I'm like, damn, how bad did they beat us? But Justine goes, was that us? Or was it their pressure? Probably a combination of both. But as usual, it was a gritty win, and we finished the game strong, and that they did. So a good win for the Cards. We love it. They certainly came out and defended Traeger very well. Were there a lot of people at that one for the start of it? I know they probably started leaving at halftime, Jared, but Daryl, what did you all see on the crowd scans?
On field hockey?
Yeah.
I thought it was a good crowd.
Saw several looked like little girl squads, like I would say middle school age. Maybe I'm just not a good judge.
So, Sacred Heart, their field hockey team was there. There were a few members from Assumption that were there. And there was some team in town from St. Louis, I believe is where they're from. They were in town. It was a little weekend against what I was told was Assumption, Sacred Heart Male, and maybe another team. So they were in town, and they knew a player that was on Virginia's team. I'm not sure, unless maybe she went to that high school. So they were cheering for Virginia, specifically that player. But
that's what I thought, because they
maybe
had
now that they made. Hopefully, maybe they'll switch change their mind now that they made the trip to Traeger Stadium and gotten to check out how awesome it is here.
You know what I think about when I'm doing the video board at these matches is I'll throw up certain players when I have a good shot of them, and I hope that it reflects to these younger players, like when they're thinking about going to college, like, yo, I can get on this screen at this stadium, just a little bit of a shout out. So I hope that they notice things like that.
Yeah, that would be a key if they would do something like that and see something like that up there, thinking to themselves.
Just small things like that matter.
maybe they'll have the graphics around me and my name, and then show me making a great play, and then wouldn't that be so cool?
Yeah,
It would be nice.
exactly.
That's of course that's part of it too. It's all about winning fans and influencing the decisions of others who might be thinking about Louisville, and then they go somewhere where there's not the nice video board. There's certainly not the nice crowd reaction. But so a nice win for the Cards. We'll take a 1-0 any day of the week as long as we've got the one and the opposition has the 0. Another team that's kind of jumping from the fire to the frying pan, though. The Cards get back at it again tomorrow, where they'll be bringing on their third straight ranked opponent. This time it's the Big Ten's Iowa, ranked number 2 in the nation. Coming in to see the Cards at Traeger, 2 p.m. start on this one, from what I understand. I won't be able to get out there, unfortunately, but certainly we'll be trying to follow it as best I can. Tough one indeed. We hadn't really, over the years, heard a whole lot about Iowa in field hockey. We've always talked about the ACC dominance in the sport, guys and gals, but this Iowa team's no joke, are they?
Not at all. They come in there, they get the job done more often than not in a tough conference. It's fun to watch.
It
Yeah,
should be.
I'm seeing they just played Indiana yesterday and beat them 3-0, and then you keep scrolling up, and they can score some goals, can't they?
They can indeed. They've got a great scoring percentage, and one of the things that it will be is certainly a test on our very fine goalkeeper, MDK, to see how she can handle this and how she performs. I mean, they kind of thrust her in the role there at the start of the season and said, "We don't have this goalie. You're a freshman. You're now our starting goalkeeper. Go on out there and do what you can do." But as you mentioned, Daryl, she's got some great defenders up in front of her. Indiana Reed, obviously, or Indy Reed is one of the many that are in there. Jared, how do you see this one, the Hawkeyes and the Cards?
Yeah, Iowa is a program that's been really good for years and seems to have taken that next step up to being one of the more dominant programs out there. It's really going to come down to whose defense is better, because that's what I feel like some of the more recent matches have been for UofL, is who's going to have the better defense, who's going to step up, and some of these close matches with a pair of 1-0 victories recently and a 3-2 overtime victory at Princeton. And I mean, Mila, she does pronounce that Mila kind of, if you think of Mia Stander for volleyball, but with an L, Mila, that's how she does prefer to pronounce it back there. She's
The Mila's
yes.
not the hard part.
It's the last name that I'm still working on and I can't pronounce yet. So we'll bypass the last name for now.
Yeah.
She's going to have her hands full.
Get that information, because I always feel like we should get
I think
names
we
right.
should have Daryl write it on a whiteboard in her control area 100 times, and then at halftime of a broadcast, just go say, "It's Mila, and the second name is da 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 da, Mila da 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 da." So we'll find.
This makes me have like a promo idea, something like, instead of, because we've been doing these countdowns, how many animals can you name in 10 seconds? Blah blah blah. We should have a pronunciation lesson.
Yeah.
Just go up to fans.
How do you pronounce your teammates' names?
Go up to fans with a white card saying, "See this name? How do you pronounce it?"
One day I'll be on the marketing team, guys. One day.
All we can do
that's reminded me of a few years ago. Women's basketball was hosting the second round of the NCAA tournament, and they were asking fans, "Now that you're in the city, how do you pronounce it?" And it's been a few years, but that little commercial or promo or whatever they're doing is quite hilarious. So let's do it with the players' names. I like that idea, Dale.
I've still got a T-shirt with the 5 different pronunciations with Louisville on it.
Yeah.
Don't know where I buried that one at, but just taking a look back, these two squads, Iowa and Louisville, did face up back in 2019 as the Cards went up against them and took a 3-2 win, and they took this in overtime against them, beating the Hawkeyes back then in 2000.
Was this the one, Paul, where we scored at the end of regulation to send it to overtime?
Yeah, it was those.
Ooh, I remember. This was a good match. I remember that one now.
Yeah, that was a really good one. Yeah, we took that one. In fact, the win streak for the Cards, if you take a look at it, the Cards also won in 2016 in Louisville against them. They also won in 2012 against them, back in 2010. In fact, you have to go all the way back to 2008, where they lost to them on a neutral court up in Lansing, Michigan, of all places, 1-0. So the win streak, good for the Cards. 5 here so far. We certainly want that to continue against an Iowa squad that, like I say, you're not ranked number 2 in the nation just because people like your fight song. Okay, there's some talent there. You got a pretty good team. So we're going to wish them the best of luck on that. And certainly, if if you get tired of watching NFL football, whatever you like to do on your Sundays, whatever you feel like doing, hey, give about an hour and a half, 2 hours for this one, because this should be fun. It should be good. If you're a defense fan, like I know some of us are, you should have a ton of that. Let's hope. All right, well, let's go ahead and leave Floyd Street right now and head on down to sunny Miami. Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice? Well, not this time of year, but wouldn't it be nice to be on the beach down there? Not this weather, but the Cards went down there though. Decided that they were going to say, hey, while we're down here, let's hit a couple casinos. No, they went down there to play the Miami Hurricanes in a very, very exciting start to the ACC women's soccer season. Cards coming in there unranked right now, but certainly playing very, very good field hockey, or good women's soccer, I would like to think. But this one didn't start out so well. I didn't get to see any of this one, unfortunately. But boy, at the end of the first half, the Cards are down 2-0 to Miami. Daryl, what was going on here?
Yeah, shout out to Case for keeping us all informed.
Yes, indeed.
Really appreciate that. But yeah, you said it. They're down 2-0 at the half, so that's another narrative they're gonna have to come back from if they want to go far into the tournament. And they were able to do it. You just look at the team stats, and the Cards had twice as many shots, 3 times as many shots on goal, and that's the end of the game stats. But it was huge victory. I think I saw that the Cards have opened ACC play against Miami like 3 years in a row. Did I hear that right? So a familiar foe. Good Friday for the Cards, though, wasn't it?
It was indeed, certainly so. And
it's like the women's soccer team got word of all the other squads' victories yesterday, and maybe gave them a little inspiration at halftime.
And I know they probably didn't want to take this thing to overtime because they wanted to watch the end of the football game, probably. But
they
like,
do when a win's on the line; they'll take it.
Absolutely, it showed a lot of courage by this Louisville squad, a lot of determination, obviously, and then let's face it, 2-0 in women's soccer is hard to come back from. When you're
that's
down
a tall
2
mountain.
goals, this is like being down 20 points, with 5 minutes left in a basketball game. It's not an easy road to climb back up. But the Cards were able to do it at the end of that first half, being down 2-0. Would have liked to have been in that locker room to kind of hear what KFD and her staff had to say to the squad.
Mm-hmm.
But in the second half, the Cards came back and got a corner kick. Jared, Macy Wissett, that's a name we've talked about quite a bit over the years, haven't we? She sent one into Sarah Hernandez. So good to see Sarah back out there. Sarah gave it a header over to Haley Howard. And Haley Howard, right foot put it home, making it 2-1. And certainly that was encouraging. Then they went all the way to the 83rd minute, sir. When Raven Alexander, another one that we haven't seen a lot of this year, got tackled in the box. Obviously, they'd been watching the football game. No, I'm just kidding there. Got tackled in the box by a Miami defender to draw a penalty kick. And once again, they bring in Sarah Hernandez. she knocks it home right to the bottom left of the goal to tie it up. I would have liked to seen this one because Jeff, it sounds like it was really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I was tied up working on some other things, so I didn't get to watch it either. But I do very much appreciate Case's updates in our group chat of the progress. I've really learned to appreciate soccer more in the past couple of years. I'm still learning about the game, some of the nuances and strategies and tactics. But man, this one does sound like it was a lot of fun. I may have to go back and watch the replay here a little bit later today, see more of it. Maybe kind of skip through a little of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I would avoid the first half if I were you.
Yeah, okay. Get the first half together. All right.
And just go ahead and take it there. So let's look at it, Daryl. 5-1-1 on the season now for Louisville. Got their opening ACC win, knocking Miami down to 3-4. We've seen Louisville women's soccer squads start out big in the past, then kind of fade as things go by. This is encouraging, though, to go on the road and get a win, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing along the lines of previous years. It's just a good way to turn around to the end of last year. I feel like there was a lot of L's going on last year for this squad. So I'm sure that Coach Karen is thrilled and the team is just inspired to keep building off of this.
Yeah, definitely so. It's a nice one to think to yourself, we got this W. We're going to be able to come back home. We get a couple of days off and we go to, although you never really have any days off during the season, but then we'll return to action until Thursday. An early start on this one, too. They're going to do a 6 p.m.
Is it the same as the men's field?
Okay.
Because they're outside then, because I saw that the men played Syracuse last night. That was outdoors.
Didn't look like there was a dome setting or anything like that. Okay, good. Yeah, you would think both soccer teams would play on the same field up there for sure. So that's good. At least it'll be outdoors. Because I think I can remember in the past us playing inside the Carrier Dome. Or whatever it's called this week.
It's the SU Soccer Stadium is what they call it.
Okay, real good then. So I'm glad that they've done that.
Yeah.
It's nice to see. Should be a fun one for the Cards as they put their perfect ACC mark on the line. Hello, Jared, team that got a big emotional win. It was our first overtime win since 2019. Last time that we beat Vanderbilt. The attitude in Jared's got to be great going into this one as they go up to Syracuse to take on the Orange.
You got to feel pretty confident and just good overall after a big win last night. And one of the things you'll hear in soccer is a 2-0 halftime lead is extremely dangerous. It's a big enough lead where you start to feel comfortable, but it's not a big enough lead that you can just cruise to a win in the second half. And that's what we saw. UofL had come out immediately, start a second half already getting on the board and really battled back to push it there. So I would love to see us go ahead and get up early against Syracuse, who also has they play at Notre Dame tonight for a Saturday night game. So we'll see how that affects their record. They're sitting at 4-2-1 in overall right now and have not played any ACC matches to this point. If we can get on the board early and often, I think we should be in pretty good shape. I don't see where Syracuse has managed to score more than 2 goals at all this season in a single match, and it does look like they've been shut out in their last 2 matches against Cornell and UConn.
Hey, if those two can shut them out, we can shut them out, right?
Yeah. Right, I got faith in our defense with Sarah Hernandez back there, Maisie Whitsett back there, Raven Alexander, and then Gabby Cazellas in goal. I've got faith in our defense. I know they struggled early on as people were in and out with injuries, but they look healthy and strong back there. So let's let our offense work some magic. We got some talented freshmen, and we've got some veterans who have stepped up and been able to score some goals too. So force a clean sheet on defense and put up a few goals there.
Let's make it so.
I did see that UofL tried to. I mean, they had a couple shots on goal real early. Am I right against Miami? But it just didn't connect. So
Nina
that's a good
Nicosia.
sign.
Yeah, Nina Nicosia actually had 3 attempts in the first
Yeah.
half against them.
Like even the first 20 minutes, I think. So
Yeah.
that's a good sign. And I'm with you, Jared. I think that they need to score early. Luckily, it's an earlier-ish game for them against Syracuse because they got that Florida State game on Sunday, which is a huge matchup. Just, I think that Florida State's becoming sort of a rival to U of L in the ACC, so, and they got that number 1 ranking next to them right now. So, you get a secure win against Syracuse on Thursday and welcome the number 1 team in on Sunday.
Absolutely so. It should be a big time indeed. And we certainly hope that they can go up there and get themselves a nice little W up there on the road against the Orange. Always good to beat Syracuse in anything, if you ask me. Okay, although without Quentin Hillsman anymore, maybe it takes a little of the luster off of it, but still, it should be all right. Hey, let's get into here for the remainder of the show a little bit. Louisville women's basketball now knows their ACC schedule. It was announced earlier in the week. The Cards will play 4 opponents twice in this schedule: Boston College, Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, and Syracuse. I think that's a really good draw right there, 2 kids getting those 4 when there could have been some other powerhouses that we would have had to face twice. Getting BC, and not to slight these teams, and it would BC and Pitt are probably not going to win the conference. Let's face it. Syracuse has got a first-year coach coming on board. Notre Dame, of course, always tough, but we'll see. Some rebuilding going on there. But this gets underway. Actually, December 30th, when Boston College comes to the KFC Center, and then the conference schedule will take us all the way through February 27th with the season finale ending up in South Bend against Notre Dame. You all probably looked at this a little bit, maybe have some opinions on it, so we'll just kind of take it around the table here. It's an AC schedule. It's just, it's kind of what we expected in some things, but it looks tough, Jared.
Yeah, Jeff Walls, non-conference, loves to get some big names in there, ranked opponents to get that, whatever we're looking at, strength of schedule, RPI, whatever they want to base it off of now. And then you've got some really strong teams that are in the ACC, and it's been that way for a while. I think Notre Dame is moving back up the right direction. Of course, Florida State's always been good. NC State has been excellent. Prior to what happened up at Syracuse, they always had a really solid team. So we'll kind of see what happens there. With it's going to be a kind of a rebuilding program. I think they'll take a step back. A couple other teams that have had some strong years recently: Virginia Tech, North Carolina. So you don't really get a true night off in the ACC. There may be some nights where you're going to be just much more talented than other teams, but everybody always throws everything they've got at you. And sometimes it's just going to be swinging haymakers all night. And you've got to be prepared any night in the ACC against whoever it may be.
That you do, because you can never tell. And Daryl, a couple games that I kind of circled when I looked at this, and we kind of talk about them. Last year, we had 2 conference losses. Lost down at Florida State, and then, of course, unfortunately at home against North Carolina State. This year, we traveled to Raleigh in kind of January the 20th, and then a week later, we host the Seminoles up at the KFCM Center. I look at that as 2 key games back-to-back, Daryl.
Yeah, and if you want to keep throwing it out there, I mean, that Clemson game is probably going to be a good one, too. Those usually go down to the wire. But, it's just when you all talk and say things, it makes me think of other things to mention. But Jared saying, just playing your best against these teams, that makes me think of, you never know if any of these players on these teams that we're playing could potentially be Cardinals in the future.
That's true.
Just because the Syracuse debacle. I did get, I'll let y'all know, I saw Emily Engstler at the game last night, and I yelled at her, I said, Emily, welcome to Louisville. And I totally dropped the ball because I was fangirling and forgot to tell her, Cardinal couple, you'll see us around, blah, blah, blah. I totally dropped the ball. That's my bad. I was so excited to see her. It looked like she was having a great time. But I'm so excited for this team this year. Louisville Live tonight. I think it'll give fans a taste. And I was telling everybody with us, you all need to get out to women's games. Like this is you don't look to be having fun at the football game like last night. It was just really stressful after that pick by Malik. So I said women's games are in the bag most of the time. So, get out to these games and come see a national championship contender team every year. And, it's some great competition. I'm really excited to see this new squad because it's like, it's jam packed with talent.
Yeah,
in the bag most of the time. Daryl, you just jinxed us. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the bag that it's going to be a competitive season. We're up there in the rankings. We're in the conversation. Jeff Wells expects nothing less.
Absolutely, and Walls is going to paint it that way. I can remember shuddering when I'd see Emily Engstler enter a game for Syracuse going, I used to call her Sam Fearing Light. Okay. Because today it's similar techniques.
What's so weird is when she was playing for Syracuse, I would imagine her in a Louisville jersey. Like, why could we? I want to play her like Emily. And then she ends up here. And there was another girl I was out with a couple weekends ago, and she brought Emily up. And I was like, oh my God, I love her too. It was just it's great. I'm so excited for her in a Louisville jersey.
This is a power pack squad. And again, you look at the home games here, some of the fun matchups that we can see here. Of course, obviously, we're going to play Bellarmine at home. It's always good to kind of get that one in and out. Renewing that rivalry with UT Martin. Always fun to play against the Skyhawks. And we're bringing them into the KFCM Center. And then Kentucky's here. That's right. The Cats are coming to the KFCM Center. A Sunday game, December 12th, 1 p.m. start on this one. And if you can't make it for some reason, ESPN's got the feed on that one that we know so far. But always nice to bring the Cats into our house and not have to worry about fire alarms going off and stuff like that. So other fun matchups. Syracuse will be here first, coming in on the 13th. Boy, a 3-game stretch. It's just going to be fun to attend, guys. Starting with Wake Forest on the 23rd and Florida State on the 27th, and then Duke on the 30th. 2 Sunday games and a Thursday game. They're all at the KFCM Center. That should be a lot of fun to attend. Certainly a lot of high hopes and ambitions for this team, Jeff, this year. Certainly the talent and the tools to get it done. The Dana factor, well, we'll see how we do with that. But I think there's certainly a young lady from Washington who's ready to step up and say, I think this is my team now. What do you all think?
Yeah, I see a lot of people talking about Dana Evans, graduating and moving on and saying, oh my gosh, this little team is doomed to be terrible this year. Yeah, okay, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but like she's a very, very fine player. Absolutely. She was a major part of this team. We've got a lot of weapons still, though. I'm not too worried about it.
I have to agree with you. It's kind of like we may have shot off that round of ammunition, but guess what? We got a bag over here that's got a bunch more clips in it. So here we come. Look out. All right. We've had a fun. Boy, this hour has just flown by Saturday here. Golly gosh. I looked up and see it's 12:03. I'm like, holy cow. Where'd the time go? What do we do here? So let's go ahead and kind of roll into some final thoughts. Then also want to kind of put out there before we get into final thoughts, if you're not doing anything later on this evening and you want to go combine a little horse racing with seeing the Cardinal basketball teams, they'll be out at Churchill Downs for Downs After Dark. So that could be fun if you enjoy going to the races. But if you even enjoy seeing your Cardinals out in public more, that's the place for you tonight. Head on over there. But let's go ahead and get into some final thoughts. And we're gonna pick on Jared because Jared's been so active lately, and his mind is probably a blurry mess right now. Let's push it even further and get some final thoughts out of him.
I don't know if I really got final thoughts. I was gonna say I think I even blanked out for down at football last night. I'm pretty sure I blanked out on the whole return. I couldn't even tell you what happened. It was like I honestly looking at when I was kind of following along. It's like I don't even know who has the ball, so I just started taking pictures and got lucky. Uh, so hopeful, trying to find a few days off to rest here and there. Gonna have today and tonight off, which will be nice, and then um, hopefully a couple upcoming weekends with some road games allow me just, let's say, rest and relaxation and recovery mode.
Set up the hammock in the back half of the acreage there and have a big pitcher of lemonade by your side, right? And if you pour a little vodka in it, that's okay too. Final thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah, I just you want to shout out some. There's always, I'm always some big volleyball fan, and I always just kind of shout out. There's always some fun storylines around some of these teams. A lot of these players have played together in the past. Coming out of the Kentucky game Wednesday night, I saw Louisville and Kentucky players greeting each other and as past players. I like one in particular. An example of that is our freshman libero Elena Scott. Played at Mercy High School, played him for the Union Club. The Kentucky libero, Eleanor Bevan, spelled differently than the past governor, is also went to Mercy, is also a true freshman and played for Union. So these two players have played together for who knows how many years in multiple different settings, and all of a sudden they're on the different side of the net. But it's just a neat storyline to see stuff like that come together and remember that the volleyball community, and I'm sure this is true in other sports as well, but I see it more in volleyball with my inclinations, is neat to see.
And they will be facing each other for years to come, so that's cool.
For several years.
That's awesome.
A little bulletin board material for the locker room there, that's for sure. Daryl, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with Jared, kind of racking my brain on some final things to say, but just a huge shout out to the volleyball team for their win on Wednesday. I know that'll stand out in my mind for a while. The field hockey game yesterday was also really good, just defense. And then, we don't cover it, but that football win is, I'm trying to rank it in my memories. And then tonight, the Louisville Live event at Churchill Downs is going to be so cool for those two teams to get out there in front of fans, but also fans to have the opportunity to see these teams and also bet some money on some horses. So really cool that we have these facilities and this opportunity for athletes to enjoy as well. I mean, how many players do you think come in here? They probably don't even know what Churchill is or the Derby is, and then they're introduced to it, and they're going to celebrate that for the rest of their life. They're going to be like, oh, it's time for the Derby. I went to school in Louisville. I know how important it is for the town. So it's super, super cool that we can get this event over there at Churchill. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but 4th Street's a little overrated for me.
Yeah, for sure. And that kind of mirrors what my final thoughts would be as well. It is nice to see the cooperation going on between the two major tenants over here on Central,
Mm-hmm.
that being Churchill Downs and, of course, the Cardinal Stadium.
Yeah.
Louisville agreeing to say, you know what? We can play football Friday night. That's fine. We know we're going to get a big crowd because we want some people to continue to come back down here tomorrow night to come watch some ponies run to meet the women's basketball team. I like this level of cooperation. We
Yeah.
haven't always had it in the past. So it's certainly good to see, whether it's Neely Bendabuti making amends with Tom Meeker and some of the others over at Churchill, whether it's Vince Tyree stumbling into a gold mine, whatever the case be. I'm here. I'm for it. Let's continue to see this happen and certainly make things good for all type
It's
of
unique.
sport.
It's unique to Louisville. No other program has anything like it. I guarantee it.
Yeah, can you imagine Iowa State saying, "Hey, we got horse racing Friday"? No, it's not going to happen. Only here, even in Lexington, when they have their ballyhooed, Keeneland followed by football on the same day. That's a little bit too busy for me. I'm sorry. Maybe not for the younger generation. Why not spread it out over 2 nights, right? A little more fun that way. So certainly a fun show today. I want to thank Daryl and definitely Jeff and Jared for being on with the broadcast. And we'll see you this same time next week, 11 a.m., unless you know something we don't. Have yourself a great weekend. Go Cards.
Go Cards.